Subscribe now. We have new stories every day. Now, let's go. The Unraveling. Adam Parker had always considered himself a lucky man. He had a solid career, a loving wife, and a cozy life in the suburbs. Married to Emily for almost 10 years, they had their ups and downs, but who didn't? They lived in a picturesque home. And while their 2 kids were growing up fast, the family dog, Max, lazed around in a constant state of bliss. Adam, a project manager at an engineering firm, often found himself traveling across states for work. It wasn't ideal, but the job paid well and it allowed them to maintain their comfortable life. But Adam's last trip to Chicago would forever be burned into his memory, not because of a successful deal or a client's spectacular view of Lake Michigan, but because it was the moment his perfect life began to unravel. It all started innocuously. Adam had been gone for 4 days, securing a new contract that would ensure his company's growth for the next 3 years. As always, he and Emily kept in touch, texting and calling whenever possible. However, something was off during this trip. Emily seemed more distant than usual. Responses were shorter, less frequent, and sometimes outright dismissive. She'd tell him she was busy with the kids or out with her friends, which wasn't out of the ordinary, but Adam could sense something wasn't quite right. While in Chicago, Adam had plenty of time between meetings to think. His mind kept returning to an odd conversation he'd overheard between Emily and one of her old college friends, Ryan. They'd reconnected at a reunion a year ago, but Adam hadn't thought much of it. After all, Ryan was just an old friend. But recently, Emily mentioned him more often than Adam liked. Ryan had resurfaced in casual dinner conversations, and though it seemed harmless at first, there was something unsettling about the way she spoke of him, like she was reminiscing more than catching up. The first major clue hit Adam while he was packing up his hotel room to head home. He received a text from their mutual friend, Sarah, who had been Emily's close confidant in college. They hadn't spoken in years. Sarah: "Hey, Adam. This is a little awkward, but I think you should know something about Emily. I don't want to stir up trouble, but have you noticed anything strange?" Adam stared at the text, his stomach tightening. Sarah had been distant for a while, and for her to reach out like this could only mean something serious. Adam: "Hey, Sarah. What do you mean? Is something wrong?" Sarah: "I don't want to get involved in your marriage, but I saw some things that made me think she might not be as faithful as you think." His heart pounded in his chest, confusion turning into suspicion. He sat down, hands trembling as he typed. Adam: "What things?" Sarah hesitated before responding. Sarah: "I saw her with Ryan at the coffee shop downtown. It wasn't just friendly catching up. They were, you know." Adam's mind raced. Ryan, Emily's old flame from college. How long had they been in touch? He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but Sarah's message rattled him. Adam: "What exactly did you see, Sarah?" Sarah: "They kissed, Adam. They were holding hands, and it looked like they were having a pretty serious conversation. I don't think it was their first time meeting either. I'm so sorry." Adam froze, the words "they kissed" echoing in his mind. A year ago, when Ryan came back into the picture, it didn't bother him. He had trusted Emily. They had a life together, children, a future. But now, his entire world felt fragile, like it was teetering on the edge of a cliff. Instead of flying home immediately, Adam extended his trip by 1 more day. He told Emily that work had been extended, but in reality, he wanted time to think. His mind played back every interaction over the last few months. The nights Emily had been working late, or out with friends, the time she spent an unusual amount of time texting. Adam realized that Ryan had been lurking in the background this entire time. When Adam finally arrived home, he noticed a strange tension in the air. Emily greeted him with a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. The kids were upstairs, and Max, their loyal dog, greeted him at the door like always. But Adam couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. He needed answers. The next morning, after dropping the kids off at school, Adam decided it was time. He poured himself a coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and called Emily in. She hesitated before sitting down, sensing the gravity in his voice. Adam didn't waste any time. "So what's going on between you and Ryan?" Her face paled, and the mug in her hand trembled slightly. "What are you talking about?" Adam leaned back in his chair, staring her down. "I know Emily. I know you've been seeing him." Emily tried to play innocent, but Adam could see the panic rising in her eyes. "It's not what you think. He's just a friend." "Just a friend?" Adam laughed, the sound bitter. That's funny because Sarah saw you two together, holding hands, kissing. Emily's mouth opened, then closed as if she were trying to find a way to twist the truth. She sighed, defeated. Okay, yes. We met up a few times, but it wasn't serious. Not serious. Adam's voice rose. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? Don't lie to me, Emily. I know you've been talking to him. You've been texting him. Planning this like some high school romance. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, but Adam wasn't finished. You planned this. For almost a year. You waited until I was out of town. What kind of person does that? I was lonely. Emily cried, her voice trembling. You're always away on business. I needed someone to talk to. Someone, whoa. Who what? Who isn't working 2 jobs to support this family? Who isn't busting his ass so you can have the life you want? Adam slammed his hand on the table, causing the coffee mugs to rattle. Don't you dare try to make this my fault. Emily broke down into sobs, but Adam wasn't moved. He had spent too many sleepless nights worrying about her strange behavior, and now, the truth was out. What do you have to say for yourself? I didn't mean for it to go this far, Emily whispered. I don't know what came over me. I felt disconnected from you. He was a mistake. A year-long mistake. Adam scoffed. And how do I know this was the first time? How many other mistakes have there been? There haven't been any others. I swear. Emily wiped her tears, but Adam wasn't convinced. You expect me to believe that? He stood up, pacing the room. Do you even care about this family? About our kids? Or was Ryan more important to you? Of course I care, Emily cried. I love you, Adam. I love our family. It just happened. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, Emily. You did. They sat in silence for what felt like hours, the weight of her betrayal hanging in the air. Adam finally spoke, his voice cold. I'm filing for divorce. Emily's sobs intensified, but Adam had made up his mind. He couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies and deceit. The life they had built was crumbling, and there was no way to salvage it. Days later, as the paperwork was filed and Adam packed his things, Emily begged him for forgiveness. But Adam couldn't. The betrayal was too deep. The trust shattered. He left the house, knowing that while the pain would linger for a long time, he would eventually heal. But as he drove away, leaving behind the life he had known for so long, Adam couldn't help but wonder how he had missed the signs. How had he been so blind to the woman he thought he knew so well? Reader comments. User 1. I don't know how Adam stayed so calm. If it were me, I'd have kicked Ryan's ass. User 2. Emily is the worst. She planned this for a year. That's not a mistake, that's calculated betrayal. User 3. The way Adam confronted her was savage. No beating around the bush, just straight up facts. User 4. Man, I feel bad for the kids in this situation. They're the ones who'll suffer the most. User 5. This story just made me text my husband to tell him I love him. Trust is everything. User 6. I can't believe Emily tried to blame Adam for working too much. She was living the life, and he was making it happen.